Good morning, Rainmakers. How are you all doing today? Good to see you. Sorry, my dog's down here and causing issues. This is the final session before graduation, woohoo, which is really exciting. I know you guys have put a lot of time and energy and effort into this. Hopefully you're seeing some great results. I know Nate is working with someone who just had their first sale as a result of learning right there. Yay. Let's give a big round of applause. If anybody else has any wins that they have had as a result, please feel free to post them in the chat. We're just excited for you guys. And I know you're all at different areas of your business, but I'm thrilled to be here today. Ani is not able to be with us today, so I will be leading today's session. And we have some exciting updates to share. We have two incredible speakers that you're gonna get to meet in a moment here. But first, I wanna share my screen and kind of talk you guys through some updates. We will not be going into breakouts today, but please be interactive. I know both speakers have polls for you today. And we want to make sure that you're using the raise hand feature if you'd like to ask a question to either of the speakers, or if you have any questions for the team, for the mentors, for the facilitators about anything in the program or what to expect for graduation. Hopefully you guys all got my email yesterday with the 3 things that you need to do in order to graduate. We're going to talk about those again in a minute. But I just want to remind you today, we are here to learn about email marketing and how to use augmented reality to market your business. And we won't be going into breakouts, but as you all know, this is the drill that we are recording. If you haven't already, please rename yourself. I know we're not going into breakouts, so we don't need it for that purpose, but it'd be great to just be reminded of your names, especially if we need to call on you for any reason, and your cohort members get to see and remember who you are as well. I also want to thank all the cities, counties, federal government who are providing funding so that we can offer this program to you for free. I was talking to an entrepreneur up in Portland just yesterday, and they were asking about the programs that we provide. And when I was explaining RAINmaker and Moneymaker and Raindrops, and they said, oh, well, how much is that going to cost me? Is that like, you know, an expensive program? And I said, well, how much do you think it would be worth? And she said, well, gosh, based on what you said, probably around $5,000.
Caroline, you're mute.
Oh, have I been muted that whole time?
No.
Caroline, that was me. I'm sorry.
Oh,
okay. I was trying to click something else and your name popped up.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Hey, if you don't want me to speak, there's a nicer way to do that. No, I'm just kidding. So Ranjit, what was the last you heard me say?
$5,000.
Okay, that the woman was asking what the value was, and she was willing to pay $5,000 for the RAINmaker class, and I told her it was free, and she was like almost literally in tears. So this program will be offered again next year, as well as the Moneymaker program, and it will all be free, as well as Raindrops, which you guys qualify for if you meet the requirements of homework, which we'll talk more about in a minute. Okay, so on to the next slide. I'm not going to read everybody. You guys know who everybody is. I just really appreciate the time and the talent on the team, as well as the mentors and the cohort facilitators who have joined week after week to really be here to support you all. So thank you guys for sharing your time with us. And then again, the reason why this is not $5,000, including Raindrops is included in that fee, by the way, is because of the US EDA and the Economic Development Administration from COVID funds. And I also want to say thank you to Muse Marketing, Be New Creative, Ruby Porter, Rachel, who's speaking today, Gabriel and Robert. Thank you again for providing in-kind services and your time. We couldn't do it without you. And look at all this great programming that you guys have gone through. I mean, how great. Here we are at week 9. We're excited to have the 2 speakers here today and then lead up into graduation. So in order to have your certificate of completion, these are the 3 things that you need to do. Anna on my team is going to be posting the link to the survey. Just want to take a quick gauge. I can't see all of you, but please post in the chat yes or no if you haven't taken that survey. That survey is really important. It's literally like 5 questions so that we can make sure that we find the right experts to match you with for Raindrops. And then there's a demographic survey in there that aligns with the governor's equity framework. If you can please take that as well. We will never report specific demographic data connected to your name or your company. It will be anonymously aggregated and presented that way, but that allows us to keep getting funding from the state to fund programs like this. So that survey should literally only take you about 2 minutes to complete. So hopefully many of you have taken that survey or will take that survey. And I see a bunch of you saying yes, which is great. And then also graduation is next week. What's great about graduation is your names will be read off. Some of the folks who submitted videos, our team is picking the top 5 to 7 that we will air. And then all of you will vote on the best pitches. So you want to make sure you have friends and family coming, voting on those pitches. We will announce the winners of those pitches at the end and prizes will be given. And then of course, we have your certificate that you will be sent. We're also looking into some cool things like offering a token that could be added, embedded with HTML code on your site or anywhere else to show that you have graduated the RAINmaker Sales and Marketing Accelerator program. And then of course, Leonard Kim, we've talked a little bit about him. He basically went from being homeless and suicidal to becoming a millionaire and an incredible inspirational speaker. And he's very well known in the sort of influencer marketing, but really more about building your own personal brand in that. So he's going to be the keynote speaker for us next week. So definitely invite folks to join us for that. Here's the agenda for graduation, just so you know. It's going to run at the same time, the 9 to 10:30. We're working on a cool highlight video to pull from the program that we've been through over the last several weeks. We will air the top pitches that have been submitted. All of you, as I mentioned, will get to vote. We'll then move on to the keynote speaker. You'll get to interact with Leonard, and then we'll announce the pitch winners, and we will also read off the graduation names for those of you who met the requirements and talk about what's next, which is the Raindrops program. But first, here are the prizes. So 4th place pitch winner will get a product photography package, which if you don't have products that need photographing, we can work with you on swapping out that gift. Thanks to Raychel at Muse Marketing, the 3rd place will get 10 hours of consulting on digital marketing, a topic of your choice with her. 2nd place will get the video package, Craft Your Brand Message from Be New Creative. Thank you, Gabriel, which will give you some cool like physical products so that you can make better videos with your phone. And then 1st place will get $750 cash plus 10 hours with Robert. And maybe Robert's baby too, because Robert just had a baby. So maybe the baby will get included into that. So those are the graduation prizes that we have for you, which is very exciting. Today's agenda, let's move into the program because I want to get out of the way and so you can hear from Raychel and Nikki. You're going to hear from Raychel on email marketing and then Nikki on how to use augmented reality for marketing and really what it is. There's a lot of terminology that a lot of folks don't understand, and this is new-ish in the business world. So she's going to kind of break through all that. And then those of you who are thrilled about what Nikki's talking about, hopefully you have time to stay on because then Nikki's going to take over as host and her mentor hour is going to follow today. So that way it's fresh in your mind and you're able to just sort of move right into the program. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And most of you know Raychel because Raychel has been around for the entire program and participating as a speaker and a mentor. But I'm going to hand it over to Raychel to talk a little bit more about herself and her business, and then she's going to get into email marketing. I know this was one of the big topic areas that you all wanted to hear about. So don't be afraid to ask questions. So with that, I'll hand it off to Raychel. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline. It looks like I need to have permission to share my screen. And once I can do that, I will get on with the presentation.
Right, that's because you logged out and logged back in. So let's get that fixed for you.
So for those of you who aren't in cohort 3, which is the group I've been paired with, a little bit about me. I am, let's see, oh, I can share now. Great. Okay, so I'm the founder and marketing principal at Muse Marketing and Design. I'm typically based in Eugene, but my husband and I are working remotely from Southern Baja this winter. So it's warm here and there's palm trees in the ocean over there. And I've been doing marketing for almost 20 years. So what's been fascinating in that span of the career has changed from like solely traditional channels, print, direct mail, to now I'm spending a lot of my time in digital marketing. So I can kind of bridge those two worlds. And it's been interesting to also watch, as it relates to email marketing, the change in that, because it didn't exist when I started marketing. Then it was super hot and marketers hadn't ruined it yet. And now marketers have kind of ruined email, but it still works. And I'm here to tell you why. So today we're going to cover list building, important emails to get started if you don't have yet, increasing your effectiveness and the data points that you need to look at, recommendations around email service providers, and legal considerations. And I'm having fun with internet connections today. So someone raise your hand if it gets choppy. So why email marketing? Some stats to think about. In my experience, it's the greatest source of leads and revenue for my clients, in terms of things we can directly attribute to our marketing. And we've got 4 billion email users worldwide. Not all email marketing is going through those people, but 4 billion people, and it's expected to increase. And 306 billion emails are sent and received every day. So like, email is not dead. People are still using it, as much as we may hate to see our giant inboxes. And a huge chunk of marketers are sending quite a few emails to their customers every week, 3 to 5. And most marketers say they'd rather give up social media than email marketing. Not recommending you kill your social media plan, but I think this goes to show how effective email marketing can be and why it's important for many professional marketers. So a little poll for you. I'm curious how many of you are currently doing email marketing in your business? Nate's gonna run that. Great. Oh, great. So we've got 2/3 of you reporting and 71% of you say no. So I'm glad to hear that this hopefully won't be super redundant information for you. Even if you are someone who has started email marketing for your business, my goal today is going to be to give you at least one thing that you walk away with that's new information. Okay, great. Thanks for answering that poll. So on to the next one. If you were one of those 30% who said yes, I'm curious, how big is your email list? Okay. So a lot of you are just getting started at under 250 names. Some of you have gotten up to the $1,000 to $10,000 or 10,000 email range, which is incredible. And you know, we all have to start somewhere, but this is great. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now. We all have to start somewhere. And that's why I wanted to start my talk with list building. And even if you are one of those people in the 10,000 range, you can always stand to grow. Email marketing is quite a lot of a numbers game. So as long as you're not putting a bunch of junk into your email list, having a lot. So I think organizations of any size should really focus on list building and continuing to keep that in plans. I can tell you, before I started my business, my last in-house job was marketing director of Mountain Rose Herbs, the e-commerce company in Eugene, where we had an email list of 1 million people. And so I could send one email and generate revenue for that company. So I'm here to tell you from personal experience, the bigger the list, the better it is, as long as it's not junk. So some ideas about ways to build your list include mining your contacts and customers for email addresses. So when I first start working with a new client, usually the first thing I do is, like, people will have email addresses in Excel spreadsheets and on pieces of paper from the brick and mortar store and kind of all over the place, and just kind of doing an inventory of who do you know, whose email addresses do you have, so long as you have permission to email them. Let's get them all in one place. And that can often do a lot to grow your email list. And then if you have a brick and mortar store, make sure you're asking for people's email addresses when they purchase, so you know who your customers are and can remarket them later. Or if you're going to in-person events, especially when those become more frequent, asking email addresses, giving them an incentive if they give it to you, or if you have a store, just acting as if you need it in order to give them a receipt. Giveaways with like-minded partners. I don't have this written on the slide, but there's a company called Dojo Mojo. It's DOJO, and they DOJOMOJO, and they are a great tool for setting up giveaways so that you don't have to deal with all the legal issues and all the coordination. And they offer a free month, so you can get like 1 or 2 giveaways in that month and see if it's something that's worth doing. This is a great way to grow your email list, so long as the giveaway requirement is to an email. It's not like social engagement. This was an idea that came from Ellen on week 1, was to ask people to give their email address when they join your Facebook group. And this one is not in the presentation that you guys will get from Ani, so just make note of this, that a pop-up on your website and a form in your footer are 2 of the most effective ways I've seen to generate emails. And the pop-up would typically have an incentive, sign up today to save 15% on your first order, or get this ebook with cool information if you give us your email address. There's also, Rachel didn't talk about these, there's even more types of ads you can do on Facebook and LinkedIn, which are lead gen ads. So they're ads that specifically are asking people to provide their email address in exchange for usually some sort of offer. And then most email service providers will integrate with Facebook or LinkedIn so that you can have those emails feed right into your email marketing system. Creating lead magnets, white papers, ebooks, free courses, something that is of value that people will part with their email address in order to get from you. It does take a lot of work to create them, but it's totally worth it if it leads to building your email address and allowing you to find out who's interested in your company. And then you could also have like social signups. There's a spice company that I'm a little obsessed with their marketing. It's called Diaspora Co. And she sells out like rose petals go on sale, they're gone in 2 minutes. And so often she's posting organic social posts to say, hey, if you want to be the first to know when our new products hit, make sure you're signed up for our email newsletter. At Mountain Rose Herbs, people could sign up. Items were out of stock because we had a lot of out of stock items, to be the first to know when it's back. And that's a great way to get people's email addresses. So I'm here to tell you, email marketing is not dead. No matter what you hear, it may be a little less effective. Like open rates used to be 40% and now they're 20%, but it's still a great revenue generator. And here's some important emails for you to get with.
Sorry to interrupt.
So I'm calling. Yeah.
There's a question from Kathy. Kathy, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself so you can ask Rachel the question.
Oh, I see it. So I actually have at the end of the presentation stuff about legal considerations.
Okay, great.
But yeah, there's a lot of, especially if you have potential customers or clients in Europe or who are from Europe, that they're the most strict on what you can and cannot do. They require basically a double opt-in. So yes, there are things to be aware of, and thanks for raising that. And hopefully I'll have time to get to that. And if not, we can talk more about it at my mentor hour.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot.
So email newsletter. Yeah.
Well,
I'm glad that you're aware of it, Kathy.
Well, I'm a real estate agent. I'm a real estate agent. And so I've been trained a little bit in some of these things that other people may not have to know about as much. But it used to be we got a CD 4 times a year of the no-call numbers. And if anybody in Rain could do some research, I'd really appreciate knowing the answer to this. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Okay. So Email newsletters are a great place to get started. Don't call it an email newsletter, like subscribe to our email newsletter. No one wants to subscribe to an email newsletter, but in your head, know that it's a regular communication, setting up some sort of regular frequency. Like I recommend if you're just getting started, monthly, with a goal to work up to maybe sending something out weekly, and sending different days and times of day is really impactful on how effective your emails are and how many people are going to open them. So in my experience, Tuesday through Thursday is the best for B2B or B2C. And B2C, I've also seen have good success on Saturdays. And different times of day and different days of week really vary depending on the business. So to find out what works for you, test. But starting to try to have a frequency where you're planning content just like you would do for your social media, things that we've already talked about. Think about what's the most important message for me to share via email with my customers. And I recommend no more than 3 content blocks per email. We don't want to put a ton of information in there or people get overwhelmed and they don't do the thing we most want them to do. So think about what's most important for you to communicate in that email. If it's really important, like you have a new product launch and you want everyone to know about it and everyone to buy it, it's okay to just have one topic in your email. But I do see a lot of organizations will just overload it with too much information and it dilutes the whole message. And then for each content block, think about the one thing you want people to do the most and have that one call to action in that content block. So I work with a nonprofit that's doing a year-end giving campaign, and we really wanted people to donate, but they also wanted to thank a sponsor, and they will link out to that sponsor's website. And then they also wanted to share information about a plant that's endangered because they're a plant saving nonprofit. And I was able to convince them to remove all those and just keep it focused on the donation, which is what we really wanted. And that one email generated almost $20,000 for them. And I didn't A/B test it, but I can almost guarantee you it would not have done that if we had all those links going everywhere else. So think about one link, what's the one action you want them to take for each of those content blocks. And I've found really good luck lately with a text-based link. So you'll see a lot of emails will have like a button that looks like something you should click on, but also having a link to the same place, but within the text of your email can also generate more results. And Raj, who you guys heard from earlier, this RAINmakers, has given me permission to share with you guys some examples from his email marketing program. He's a client of mine, and I know this is really small, but his emails are very simple. They're not super designed. These have been one of the biggest revenue generators for his company since he started focusing on e-commerce. So this is an example of a recent email newsletter. He's created a gift guide with ideas of things you can buy from his website. And then he's pulled out a couple popular gift ideas and featured them in the newsletter. So this is when I say a content block, I'm talking about 1, 2, 3, and you'll see each one has a button with the call to action. And this first one also has a text-based link to the gift guide here in, so you can see a little better. Welcome emails are another really important thing to put into action. Whether you're a B2B, B2C, product-based, service-based business, you want to welcome people when you first get their emails. So they're excited. They just, had an interaction with you and they want to know more about your company. If you don't do something to follow up with them while they're in that like honeymoon phase, you might lose their interest completely. So having an automated workflow with welcome emails, I recommend 3 different emails. The series, when you do more than one, is proven time and time again to get better results in terms of keeping people as customers or moving them through the funnel and getting them to purchase. So creating this 3 series email, here's some ideas on this slide about things that you could include in that series. And then in the future, think about segmenting it. So you've heard a lot already this session, the importance of your target personas and creating for them. And that can be overwhelming when you're getting started. So I recommend getting started with just like one that you think will speak to your dominant customer persona. And then as you've kind of nailed that, you can dial in and have new segments for different ways that people are finding you or different customer personas. Okay, and here's a welcome series example, also from Raj. So his first email is just like, welcome to Young Mountain Tea. The people who get this email saw a special offer that says get free tea. So this is giving them that code to get their free tea on their first order. And then his second email is talking about his brand story with a link out to a web page that shares a lot more information and a brand video. And then the third one, he's actually going to be improving in the future, but this one was one of his most popular blogs. So it's letting people know that there's a blog and giving them more information to learn more about products that he sells, which will hopefully get them to buy it. Edgen is a helpful sales tool. And then if you're an e-commerce company, abandoned cart series are really important. Something like 70 to 80% of shoppers don't complete the purchase. And so if you can just nag them a little bit, you're gonna eke out maybe 5% of people who forgot or got distracted or are comparison shopping and never came back to you. So having an automated workflow often comes with a lot of systems, like Shopify has one built in, but the standard ones that come with it aren't super great. So I would say that this is a great place to put your time and attention to make sure the messaging is on brand for you, that if you can update how it looks, that it looks good and matches the rest of your brand's visuals. And here's a recommendation for the 3 email series and the timing of each one. So you want to wait at least an hour, because then it gives them time. If they're still just considering it, we don't want to bombard them. But after an hour, if they haven't purchased, they're probably not going to on their own. And then a second email 24 hours later, and then a third email 24 hours later. And sometimes that third email could have a special offer, but you'll want to make sure that you don't just send them a special offer every third email, or they're going to learn that they can just wait to purchase and get a discount from you every time. So if you have an email marketing system that is sophisticated enough to allow you to break that workflow, and I recommend getting one. So even if you don't need it now, it'll help you in the that way, then you can say, if people got email free originally, they're no longer going to get that email, and instead I'm going to send them this other thing in their third interaction. That's pretty key to not training people to wait for a deal. And then, as kind of with the last email, in the future, you can make it more complicated, adding new workflows related to shopping behavior, like browsing. If people are looking on your site and not even putting stuff in the shopping cart, most systems can track that, and you could set up browse abandonment, which happened before cart abandonment. Okay, here's some examples of cart abandonment also from Raj. So this is variable information, which is why it doesn't look like much right now. So the product that someone bought would show up here, the product image, the name of the product, the price of the product, and then he has this going to everybody. And you can't, if you offer a lot of products on your website, you probably can't show everything. So you pick like 1 or 2 that would show up. And then the second email that's happening the next day is giving them a free shipping offer. He's getting very aggressive with the offers. And then the third is not only free shipping, but now they can also get 15% off. And this is what happens the first time someone abandons their cart. After that, it's the discounts go away. Okay, and if you're a B2B business, here's a recommended lead nurturing series. And this could potentially replace the welcome email, or it could be in addition to, depending on what the offer is that you're putting in front of people to get their contact in the first place. So if you are B2B, you would put the from name might change depending on who is going to be interacting with that potential customer or client. These should look kind of like an email that would come from your personal email address, but kind of related to Kathy's question, there's a lot of regulations around email marketing, and so don't actually send it from your email, especially if it's automated and going to lots of people. It needs to come from a system where someone can easily unsubscribe from that email, and where the footer has all the correct information. And then in this one, I recommend a 5 email series, and here are some suggestions for what that 5 email series could look like. And if you guys can't, I'm going to not read all these because I want to keep us on time. But this presentation will be sent to you later. And then this is not an example from one of my clients, and I actually have a link in the notes of the slide so you can see a bunch of examples of B2B lead nurturing emails. I don't do a lot of this work with my clients, but you'll see it's like sounds very personal, is giving away an ebook, is talking about what they can expect. It's signed from the person who it's also coming from and who would follow up with this prospect later. So testing, this is what your homework is going to be related to. Good email marketing requires lots of testing. So you can try something and put it out there, but look at the results and then make changes based on those results. And those results can be pretty, they can be very nuanced in terms of what changes you're making, and little changes make a huge difference. So A/B testing a bunch of variables. So what time of day are you sending? What day of the week are you sending? The subject line, like, are you putting an emoji in the subject line? Is it at the beginning of the subject line or the end? Those little changes, for example, can make a huge difference in open rates. And then who is in the from line? And these are not the only variables you can test, but these are very standard in email marketing systems. And these ones have a big impact results. And KPI, I don't know if anyone knows what that means. Key performance indicator, which is marketing for data points, but using some important data points that you look at all of the time to help you decide if this was effective. There's so much information you can get from email marketing systems. It can be really overwhelming. And so I like to just decide up front, here are the 3 things that matter to me. And this is what I'm going to use most to look at over time and determine if my emails are working or not. So here are some top metrics that I'm often paying attention to. One thing I would mention is unsubscribe rates. Like, I don't get too worried about them if I have some unsubscribes in each email. Try to keep it under 1%. And what I really pay attention to there is more directional. Like, if I say changed the frequency of my emails and went from monthly to weekly and saw a big bump up in unsubscribes, that's information that says maybe I didn't make my emails too frequent. Another thing I just want to point out here is revenue. If you are an e-com site generating revenue, you can integrate your email system with your website, and then those two can speak together, and so you can see how much money you're getting from your email. So that's something you'll want to make sure your provider offers and that you can set up in advance. Okay, and you guys were asking last week about email marketing vendors, and there were 2. I forget, it was like MailerLite and another one, and I have not had personal experience with them. There's a ton of different vendors out there. What I will do is, when choosing a vendor, here are some questions that I like to ask myself. Is it going to work well with my website? Do they have built-in integrations, or am I going to have to pay a developer a boatload of money to customize those integrations? We want the former, not the latter. How much does it cost? Most email marketing systems offer freebies. You have a free plan, but pay attention to like what happens as you grow. Usually it's based on number of contacts. So if I get to that 500 contact range, does the price go way up? And maybe another one offers a free plan for a lot longer, or features that you're going to want immediately. Like, maybe you don't get workflows, so you can't do any of those automated workflows like the welcome series until you start paying. So think about what you'll need as your business grows. The features, deliverability, you can find out by Googling or asking that vendor what their deliverability score is to make sure that their emails are getting into people's boxes. Security is huge. Like, we don't want to have some bad system where people can hack it and get our customers' email addresses. That could be really bad for our companies. So making sure security measures are tight. And customer service. So I often will get, if it's a new system, I'll get the free plan and just try a few things and contact their customer service teams and see how good are they. Because you know, when it's like midnight and you want to send an email the next day and nobody's answering their phones and they take 5 days to get back to you via email, like, it's going to be a problem for your business. So test out their customer service teams before you sign on the dotted line and put a lot of effort into getting an email service up and running. Here are some that I've had good success with. Mailchimp is very user-friendly, so it's less has fewer capabilities, but I think would work for a lot of your businesses. OmniSend is actually what Raj is using. It's got a lot more capabilities. It's a little more expensive, but still pretty easy to use. HubSpot, I love for B2B. That's what they were, an incredible company with amazing resources, amazing customer service, but they're a lot more complex. And so it can take longer to learn the system. Same with Klaviyo, which integrates with a lot of e-commerce platforms. So legal stuff. How am I doing on time? By the way, this is one of my last
You got
slides.
5 more minutes.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to speed through this and then we'll have a couple of minutes for questions. So I want to make sure you guys know, I mentioned giveaways. There are legal issues related to giveaways. You could Google it, but basically you have to make sure that there's rules pages and that you're letting people know when the giveaways begin and end. So just know when you're doing giveaways, there are some regulations around that. It's not very often enforced, but if you're pretty risk averse, you'll want to know. And then for email marketing specifically, there are these GDPR, CCPA, CASL, and CAN spam. And these are in order of most restrictive to least restrictive. These are good things to be aware of. And it's about if the person, they don't have to be like in Europe when this happens, but if they're European living in the US, GDPR still applies to them. So a lot of email service providers are kind of moving towards GDPR to make sure that you are covered and safe. But it's basically doing some of the things Kathy had talked about, I think, in her comment about like making sure we have permission to email people. And if in the US, at least, if they're a customer of yours, you do have permission to email them. But best practice with GDPR would be getting another opt-in. It's going to reduce the number of people on your list, but it'll keep you safer. So if you're really worried about that and the things around that, you might want to put double opt-ins into your emails. And here are some ways that you can avoid legal issues. And I have in the notes field a lot of information and a link to a helpful, so you guys can access that for more info. And if you want to know even more about email marketing, I put together a little white paper for you all. If you fill out the form on this link, you will get an email directly from me that has a little giveaway for you. And if you have questions, we've got a couple minutes now. You could attend our hour later this week, or just send me an email and I will get back to you as soon as I can.
Nice
Okay.
job, Rachel. That was
Like
really great.
2 minutes.
Yeah, I think we have like 2 minutes. There was a question earlier, and maybe you answered it because I had to step aside a minute. But when Raj did his free tea offering, did he charge shipping to send that? Do you know?
So it had to be with an order, and he has free shipping, I think at $49 or more. So if they just placed a really small order, they would have to pay for shipping if they got to that free.
Okay, gotcha.
And he did, but he tested a discount versus free tea, and the free tea won. But it could be just his customers.
Okay. Great. And yeah, there are a few other questions, but I know we are running out of time. But can you remind us, oh yeah, your mentor hours, December 9th from 1 to 2. So please make sure that you guys attend that. You can ask more specific questions related to your business to Rachel. But thank you, Rachel. You did a great job as always. Content. Really appreciate it. And we're excited that you're hanging around for more questions, as well as the mentor hour. So, okay. So to keep with the theme of exciting